Hey everybody, this is Paul from Forge the Narrative. I'm in a hotel right now, so I apologize if the lighting's not what it normally is. Not that it's amazing or whatever, but I want to talk about getting started with the Drukhari army. I started putting this stuff together, because the Drukhari have a kind of an interesting way to build the army, much different than maybe you would expect from other things. And once I started adding everything up, I was really surprised at what I could get in 1,000 points. I'm trying to take advantage of the fact that if you have 3 patrol detachments in a Battleforged Drukhari army, that you get 4 command points, whereas you know that a patrol detachment doesn't give you any command points normally. So if you were to branch out like this, you really wouldn't get a way to kind of fuel the stratagems that these guys have. And what I'm going to talk about right now is not maybe necessarily the most optimized or tooled up list, but it is a great way to get started with your 1,000 points and let you kind of get a sampling of the various factions in this codex, because it really is almost 3 armies in one, and that can't be understated, especially again when you realize that when you're building a detachment, if you want to get any of the obsession bonus, which is like one of the chapter tactics abilities, then they've all got to have the same sect essentially. So that's Cabal, Homunculus Covens, or the Wytch cult. Excuse me. So we'll start with this first patrol detachment, which is an Archon with an Agonizer. And this is where I kind of struggle on. The Agonizer is really cheap. It's only 4 points, and it's neg 2 AP as opposed to neg 3 that's on a power sword. But it's a poison weapon, so you're always wounding on that 4+, as opposed to the power sword. Now, there are things like the power from pain and stuff that all kick in to help out the Dark Eldar. We're not really talking about that just right now, but I think having that Agonizer always winning on a 4+, even though you normally only need a 5, I still think that extra little bit, or on most things like against Marines and things of that nature, you really only need a 5 with their strength 3. But I think this with the Agonizer for these guys winning on a 4+ is pretty strong. We'll talk about how that might not be always the right thing to do in later episodes and later stuff, what have you. So then we move to the troops. With a patrol detachment, you only need the 1 troop. And so Kabalite Warriors, a unit of 5 Kabalite Warriors with a blaster is 47 points. Now, 30 of those points are in the actual bodies themselves. The blaster is 17 points, and that made me try to think: do I really want a blaster? Because it's the cost of what is that? Almost 3 actual bodies. Do I really want to have the blaster in that? Well, I think, what the heck? I need a little punch in this army. Again, we're only talking about 1,000 points, so things that you're going to be facing off against. That you might see somebody with a rhino or see somebody with a dreadnought. You really want that extra kind of punch from the blaster. But then you put him in a Venom, and the Venom gets 2 Splinter Cannons, which is a bunch of mobility, a bunch of shots, and as you guys may have heard, you can fire out of the back of the Venom. So all the Splinter rifles and the blasters, you're able to kind of scoot around and get some of those shots off from these weapons from the dudes in the back. So that's my question, really. That's kind of what I struggle with, is like, this weapon upgrade, do I really spend all the points on this weapon upgrade? But I think in this case, especially in this sampling, it's worth it. And in this particular patrol detachment, I'm going with the Cabal, the Black Heart. This is also the easiest way to get that stratagem unlocked for you, so you can use it. This is the stratagem, the Agents of Vex stratagem, is specific to the Cabal, the Black Heart, which allows you to nullify and potentially take away someone else's ability to use a stratagem. This is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful stratagem in the game right now. A quick way to get it, I think, is buying the Archon and the troops, the Kabalite Warriors. The Archon is fairly inexpensive for an HQ. You're looking at 100 points to unlock that stratagem. That's pretty cheap, especially when some armies really rely on one single stratagem to pop off in round 1 or 2 and break the back of their opponent. You really get an ability to use that. And 3 command points from this army, the one we're talking about, lets you use it. And if you happen to roll the 1 and screw it up, you have that 4th command point for having the 3 patrols to re-roll it. So maybe it keeps you in the game a little bit longer, or acts as a real spoiler for your opponent. And this is not factoring in warlord traits and stuff that would get you extra command points. I think that the relic to take for this is the Helm of Spite. That's the one that allows the guy with the relic to get a deny the witch power. So you don't have psychers in this army. We're going to talk about the rest in a second, but this is going to give you the ability to deny psychic powers, which cannot be understated. Especially again, where a lot of armies they count on not one thing, and that's not so prevalent in the psychic phase, but they really want to get a leg up on you early. And if you just have all the tools to keep them from getting that advantage early, then all of your other stuff you get to play with your toys, and you get to use all the neat stuff from your army. So I took another unit of troops with a Venom with the double Splinter Cannons for that detachment. And I think that's going to give you some ability. It's going to give you some objective scoring. Going down to patrol number 2, remember, you only need one troop here in this case, but we're going with 2 of these guys. This is the Wytch detachment, the Wytch cult, taking the succubus with an agonizer, and it comes with a glaive. The succubus with the agonizer. That's one of those things. I kind of question the points a little bit on that. The agonizer versus all the attacks that you can get with the witches themselves. Taking the cult of strife, the spectacle of murder. Increase the attack characteristics by 1 of people with this, so you're pumping out tons of attacks with the witches, and then taking 2 blocks of 20 witches each. Now here's where the optimization comes in. I didn't in this particular 1,000 points, I didn't add any of the witch weapons with this. They just come with their stock stuff. So an 8-point witch is 160 points when you're talking about 20 of them, but in this case you've got 40 of them. And this is even barely half our points yet. You're getting tons of models to put on the table. Tons of scary models with far threat ranges, and then the ability to really tear stuff up when they get into combat. The third detachment is the Homunculus, the Homunculus Coven detachment. And this, you're getting Homunculus for 70-ish points or so. And then I'm going really light on the troops, taking 5 Wracks. And then I'm doubling up on my heavy support choices, the Talos. I think this is going to be one of those things that in your army that really help you in this 1,000 points in a way that help you threaten more things than maybe you would from some of your Drukhari stuff that doesn't have a lot of high strength. The Talos have they've got 7 wounds, 6 toughness with a 3+ armor save, but they've also got a 5+ invulnerable save. We're going to take the Coven here, the Homunculus Coven, that allows it to increase that invulnerable save by 1. So both your Wracks and your Taloses are getting a 4+ invulnerable save, and that is the Prophets of Flesh. Models that have this obsession, the invulnerable save conferred to its insensible to pain ability has increased to 4+. This is going to give you some staying power, both for getting dug off objectives with the Wracks, and be able to kind of almost guarantee that your Wracks are going to get across the table to start doing some damage with their macro Scalpels, which are +1 strength, giving them strength 7, -2 to save, and then 2 damage. I think, and they make 1 additional attack if they've got this. So they're doing lots of attacks. So I think we're talking to look on the lines of like 7 attacks per Talos with the high damage, with the invulnerable save. They don't degrade, so they're kind of like Sentinels and Dreadnoughts and things of that nature. They've got the high toughness and the high wounds, but they don't degrade. So when you make contact, you're going to be doing tons of damage. And all this is we're looking at right around 1,000 points ish or so, and I think that's once you play with to get the witches down to 15 maybe a piece or so, then you are looking at 1,000 point army. And that is a great way to get started. You could separate any of these detachments into different, just as a starter for whatever you feel like, to include them in other forces. I think that the Dark Eldar, they're pointed pretty aggressively, if you heard the last podcast that we did, to allow you to get a lot of them. You're going to get a lot of stuff on the table, which helps you. Of course, win objectives, win games, win rounds. But that's we're talking about objectives and morale. There really isn't a great way to really affect morale until you start getting the turns up from the power from pain. So that may influence the size of your squads. But I want to talk just quickly about this 1,000-point Drukhari list and get your thoughts on it. If you're a Drukhari player, what are you most excited about the Codex? If you're looking to get into it, what models have you most excited about playing? Thanks a lot for watching. We'll speak soon.